hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys had a decent trading day. We had some decent volatility, kind of like we talked about. Possibly still staying in range, but wide fluctuations. That's kind of what we saw today. So we're not really going to do too much delay here at all. We're just going to break right into it. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. So, excuse me. So one thing that we're going to focus on tonight is obviously preparing for FOMC. We're going to go ahead and go over the rest of the economic data for the rest of the night. I'll go over my watch list as per usual, top headlines, and we'll go from there. So, um, okay, so right off the bat, guys, we saw the S&P up 1.43%. We saw the Nasdaq 1.26%, the Russell 1.11%, and the Dow 1.58%, all to the upside. Couple of big things here. All sectors closed green. Energy was the leader, 2.49% in gains. Consumer discretionary was lagging with 0.39% to the upside. Inflation expectation data from the New York Fed was lower than expected, 5.2% versus a 5.9%. The expected inflation record a month-to-month decline in November. The Keystone Pipeline and concerns about supply bumped oil futures up to around $2.43 a barrel. Microsoft is spending about $2 billion for a 4% stake in the London Stock Exchange. We'll talk about that this morning. Oracle post-market earnings that were better than expected. They beat earnings by $1.21 per share adjusted versus the $1.18 per share projected. So, Sam Dingus Freed has been arrested. He's no longer with us. He is not a free man. Let's see here. Mic check. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Let me double check the sound bar here. All right. So it looks like you guys hear me okay. Let me increase the gain a little bit. All right. Hopefully you guys have a little bit. We're gonna do that. All right. So bit low. Hopefully this is a little bit better. It's right in my mouth, basically, right now. I'm like eating the mic. All right. Let's remind everybody. All right. Anyway, continuing forward, guys. Let's see here. Yeah, those are skippable. We really don't need to see anything else. So other than that, guys, the stock market has had a combination of days as awful, really just terrible days. Tomorrow, obviously Tuesday, December 13, investors will look at inflation numbers, especially core inflation rate year over year. Throw in a dash of CPI, month over month inflation data, and you got a recipe that people will love or want to send back quicker than a Blu-ray collector's edition of Lifetime Christmas movies. Wednesday rolls around December 14th with the 2022 last Fed interest rate decision. So that's one of the big things that we're going to be focused on. Big things that we're going to be focused on going into tomorrow. The data that we're looking at comes in pre-market. So anybody who took a swing trade has to be aware that we could see a little bit of volatility tomorrow. Tomorrow's I'm looking for a clean open and at least a pretty quick impulse move. So probably some quick trading again tomorrow. So, but let's just for those of you guys who want to have a visual here. Again, CPI month over month, year over year, core CPI month over month as well. So. All right, that's about it. So today we saw names like Tesla, and we're going to start with Tesla. Tesla was an absolute. It was kind of crazy. Completely diverged from the market. Completely tanked and moved all the way down to its previous support, where it gave a half-assed bounce towards the end of the day. Now, I am kind of expecting this one to potentially gap down, and I am looking at 160.50 to the downside on Tesla. Really, really simple. That is a psychological number. You might get a little bit further down depending on where that support hits. But as of right now, we have what appears to be a channel pre-market. All agree we saw a rejection and a confluence at 182.50. So in the future, if we do move to the upside, that's going to be a crucial price mark for us moving into CPI. So anyway, we've got a major divergence here. We'll see how Tesla opens. Again, we closed just haphazardly on top of 167.65, but of course, breaking lows or opening below previous lows could be indicative of continuation to the downside. But I do not see Tesla moving down without at least putting up some sort of fight and giving us a bounce, probably around 165. So watch for tomorrow, Tesla 165 bounce, and then retest of 170, and that's really 170, 170.65, and that's really where we're going to see whether we're going to move to the upside or see a further divergence from Tesla. So, all right. So the next one, we also saw NVIDIA. Now this one gave for me, I was even watching this one kind of in disbelief, but it did give you a really, really nice move to the upside and bounce. Now it did push down all the way, and I kind of called this mark, but it was 168 on the dot. And if you move that bounce level here, you'll see on previous pullbacks that has been a strong level for NVIDIA. So moving ahead, right, especially when lower time frame patterns break, they no longer are valid. So this setup that we have on NVIDIA is no longer valid. Now, I don't believe that that is our resistance. I think that this is our resistance, and 180.45 is probably going to be where we see NVIDIA with some flack, especially if CPI comes in hawkish. So tomorrow, it's pretty simple here. Depends on where we open. Of course, that's always crucial. And tomorrow will be live a little bit early. But 172.14, right? That's where we pushed off of. That's where buyers have held that level before. And that is the level that if we drop below, we can expect a move back down to resistance. But let me remind you that tomorrow is probably going to be a lot of misdirection. And so if we know, right, that CPI is Jerome Powell is basically going to give us direction going forward, then it's probably a good idea to not be taking longer expiration contracts looking for definitive direction unless you have yourself well hedged with a solid plan on how you're going to deal with either or, because nobody can really know for sure. You could potentially see the confluence and trend, and I see a pretty bearish setup right here. But at the same time, there's still a lot of people calling for a bull market rally, more than I really, kind of surprisingly, in my opinion. So, you guys can barely hear me. Let me see here. All right. Testing right now. Can you guys give me a sound check here? I apologize. I finally found a. All right. How's that? It's not. I don't. This man said it's not. Hey, you know what? I don't know how that works. How's this? A little bit better? I'm not a mic guy, okay? I don't even know what the hell's powering my computer. It could be gerbils for all I know. Is that good? Is that good? Am I think I'm Are you telling me that I had to point the microphone at my mouth? What the fuck? You thought he was smart, didn't you? All right, well that changes everything. All right. Did why? No, kidding. That's not how that. That's not. That's it. I don't really see cucumbers as like a good, metaphor here. Anyway, thank you guys. We learned from something from each other. I appreciate it. I don't know if I'm embarrassed or just dumbfounded right now. I'm like, wow, you had to point this. There is an option to keep the mic far away, so it's not my fault. All right. So anyway, one thing that I like to do, one thing that I like to do is make sure we have the hourly on track. Do you guys remember what I told you about Nvidia and about this trend line? Man, I tell you freaking what, dude, this shit is balling. And this move up to 180, right? We don't care if this goes all the way up to 190, right? Tell me that on FOMC that you wouldn't see a giant wick up to 190 or, depending on where we're at, and then a complete reversal and move back down into this trend. So we would need to see a build, right? And really, really, I mean, I'll go ahead and leave it there, but really you need to hold 182.13, but I would want 190 to be sound is poor. Now the sound is bad. I don't know. Mic a little bit into the mouth is good. Oh, is there a bad lag? I didn't know that. Okay. I pressed all the buttons I could, so we'll mess with it in a little bit. But as long as you guys, he might be watching in the past. So anyway, Nvidia, this is big, guys. We are awaiting a big move. So if you are trying to make money in this market, right? And I have seen a ton of people struggling, guys. A lot, and even some of my own students are kind of struggling, and a lot of it has to do with trying to pick a direction when there is none, or trying to day trade or scalp when that's not your strategy. Not having a plan, but and really even not having a schedule, knowing what the economic calendar, what investors could likely be doing, and that's important. So one thing, going forward, I'd ever no, not the lag. There's apparently a lag on Twitter. So, but there's only one person on here. I know Kenneth's name is not Mr. Kush. That can't be right, right? Um, but so anyway, if you have been struggling, right, this is a big testament to knowing when to trade. These moves are tradable, right? Even this is getting rough. It's not really straightforward, but at least it's in trend. This and this and this, yeah, you're going to struggle if you are somebody who is looking to day trade. Day trade is defined by buying a contract and holding it for more than an hour or more than 30 minutes. It's a day trade. It's not a scalp. And that's important to remember, is your strategy is not going to work all the time, no matter what it is. And so moving into this next setup, especially on something like NVIDIA that has such a high probability setup, in my opinion, that's just kind of where you can plan to be. As long as you're not beating yourself down by over trading right now, you can plan to make a lot of money. Because this is one of those moves where, yeah, I think it's going to be one of this, right? This is the next move down, or this is the next move down. Or shit, maybe we get a breakout. Maybe investors are delusional and we move to the upside. So, anyway, NVIDIA, I do want to cover Amazon really quickly. This one did not hold the symmetrical triangle, but if you are looking to, and we have the $100 challenge has commenced, watch for Amazon right here, okay? And I'm going from the swing high, right here, just its most recent high. These are pretty much the same mark. But right now, I see a downtrend from this high moving down. And if we break and hold, and I'll give you a little bit more of a conservative target, but 95 is a psychological number, and then 96.85, that's going to be that median. I think that a good entry is 92.35 for a journey up to that median at 95, looking for a target of 101. And that's just simply trading. This is chopping, if you will, or staying in range, but it is providing a clear setup. And not only that, resistance, right? Setup, super confluence, right? So we could build down here, pop, hit $100.50 or 101, and then see major continuation of the downside, aiming for the 70s. So look, really, all of these setups to me are really, really clean. I'm pretty excited about this next week, guys. But that's it for me. That's my watch list. That's what I'm going to be keeping my eyes on tomorrow. The QQQ is obviously going to be on watch. This one just pretty much stayed in range. Same plan as yesterday, as today. So just pretty much sticking to the same thing. Anything to the upside, likely looking at a move up into the 302 area. Maybe even just flat 300. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and take your guys' request. If you guys have any, just $. It looks like there's pretty much, you guys have already done it. I don't know why I'm requesting. You know what to do. I'm also not on TikTok, so I don't have 1,000 people flying in. Garrett, you were really, I'm reading old comments. So, alrighty. So HARP is the first one. Oh man. So when people give me therapeutic stocks, my immediate response is just, ugh, like what? These are typically highly manipulated, under the radar, pump and dump stocks. It appears to me that you got a massive spike up. So that's probably some bullshit news headline giving you a move up into the 303. But what matters is that you didn't hold it. You were pulled right back down. And I really can't offer you much else, because even I feel like it's a disservice to try and bullshit some trend. There's maybe a bit of downtrend here, but look, I mean, oh shit, sorry. It's just an easy way to manipulate people, oh, breakout, and then you see a massive spike down. So that was the highest amount of volume that HARP's had forever. So personally, I honestly don't want to even follow through any further than this, but I would say right now the only floor that you have is $1.14 and $1. So, but that's not really going to do you much. And I would say that this is a complete reversal. You've completely reversed from your highs, showing that sellers are obviously well in control and trying to take your money. So, SPY. So I already did the Qs, but we'll take a look at SPY here. Obviously, we're just focused on day trading setups. Oh, look at that. Okay. Looks like you got a little bit of a breakout there. We're going to get rid of that. I don't like that. And I'm going to start on the daily. Okay, so, man, this... if you go back and watch Sunday's live, which I don't expect anybody to go and do that, but if you remember what I talked about on Sunday, this is exactly what I talked about on Sunday. The fact that we had such a bearish setup before that catalyst, and how so many people are probably going to go short, and that's probably going to reverse right in their faces, because wedges are first of all not incredibly high probability, but they're also notorious for extending, right? So this is probably an extension of the wedge, giving you a channel to the upside. So currently you are still inside the box with a resistance above you at $400. 400. I have 485. But there's obviously the 402.10. That seems to be at least in recent price action, seems to be a strong mark. And then again, we've talked about the downtrend that we're likely going to meet, and that's depending on price action, confluence around 403.75. But of course, a break and hold above 408.75 would be preferred. This could be a setup for a head and shoulders. You have the shoulder, so a reversal back up to, I would say, 403.25, or just that 402 mark. 402.50 is where you'd want to see a close around. I would be looking for SPY to move back down if you saw a solid rejection off of that. But of course, we've got CPI and FOMC around the corner, so trying to predict where SPY is going to go while it's in range is typically, trying to predict is not going to help you. But finding these triggers and knowing where sellers and buyers need to control certain levels, and if they don't, obviously they leave, and that's where you can profit. But yeah, that's kind of what I would be focused on there. So, Gary, that's a pretty solid rule. Yeah, anytime I have a scanner for low price stocks, small caps, typically that's honestly I go with a million. Okay, so let's keep moving down, and you guys don't have to. There's no other streams besides we've got Twitter up here, and of course, if you guys have any requests or anything like that, you can tweet me or comment underneath my retweet. I'd be happy to take a few from you. There's only 3 people on there. So how much weight do you personally give technical setups during the week with a macro? So that's kind of what I was just talking about, just Sam. That's basically where I look at trend as a setup, but not for me, right? It's a opportunity for institutions to gather liquidity before the bigger move. And I think that's exactly what you saw on that SPY chart. And I'm going to tweet this out so you can kind of see what we're working with and what I'm talking about. Other than just, we're on YouTube right now, so you're welcome to hop over there. But let me tweet that out really quick. But yeah, so I take it with a grain of salt, but support is support, right? And that's why I look for confluences. So for example, if a confluence at 390, I know that if we close a candle or open a candle below that, more than likely we're going to be back down around 386, 385. So typically. All right. Let's see. We got SPY. I already did NVIDIA. TSM is driving you crazy. Well, I can tell you a story right now just by looking at the chart. I'm sure you're not the only one, but with contraction comes expansion. It appears that I was probably wrong. I don't think I was, actually. Maybe not. We'll see. So this could be a kind of like that cup and handle, but I think the main thing here is I haven't touched this chart in a minute. So the only thing that I would say is the validity of resistance here could be in question, where maybe it's here and that's why you saw a gap up and build, and perhaps I could clone this channel in order to get a far more accurate reading. And I think that's exactly what I needed to do. So look at that. Do you see that right there? The standard deviation channels don't fucking play. So here's what I would go ahead and confirm to you. As basically the way that I would look at this for myself if I was taking this to the upside. 85.50 is going to be where the 200-day moving average. Take a look right here. Bounce, build, right? Candles closing on top of 85.50 shows the level there. You have a lot of flack, and this is where they catch people, because people will be like, "Oh, contraction. It's one slip outside and it has to go." It doesn't. And in fact, with a crazy big catalyst ahead of us, why wouldn't that be a factor? And that's something definitely to think about. So I would be looking for after FOMC to be in this zone if you're going to go green, and then from there, we can just oops, and now I fucked it all up. But here, let me remove this and reclone it. I'll pull this down just so I have a better target. So to the upside, based on standard deviation, there is a confluence, a big confluence, right here. Bam, bam, all that floor right there. So I would say TSM price target is 92 to the upside if you can hold that 85.50 and FOMC passes with sentiment on your side. And then to the downside, obviously you have a floor at 78.35. But beware, because the bounce level is directly below you at $75 or 75 and or excuse me 74.85. All right. TSM, I'll tweet these out. So if you guys are obviously on my Twitter. All right. The next one I got is Amazon. So I kind of already covered this one, but I'll break it down really quick. So again, right, settled on top of that floor. This was so take a look where these wicks are. Bop, bop, bam. I personally think that we go green. I at the moment am seeing a potential run here. Now, from where it goes from there, it either does this, right, or, and this is where they'll get you, right. It does this, and again, I'm privy to downside here, but that's where you could see a fake out, or if you can build and hold on top of that, potentially some continuation to the upside. So, but that's really all I got right now. Upside level is going to be that $92. You need to open above that or candle close above that on the daily. Um, what does that mean? Okay, CVX. Yo, so I'm not gonna be the thousandth person to tell you that this is obviously a rounded top with like a mix of a head and shoulders in there. But that's exactly what you have now with oil, technical patterns, whatever. That's kind of how I see it. So, um, so that being said, I charted this earlier. I don't know where it's gone. That's what I'm perceiving as support. But in the meantime, you have a really, really nice zone right here, right? And you can tighten that up. So it's going to be 154.35 and it's going to be 164.50 that you would want to avoid. But of course, the rounded top is here, right? And rounded top, I think it's more of a rounded top because you have too many oscillations in there to be a head and shoulders. But the sentiment remains. Now, this is a daily rounded top in range, and so truthfully, it doesn't have to continue or just full on dump. But you still have more room down. I personally think that oil sees some sort of balance, and especially with COVID easing, stuff like that, I think it's important to pay attention to oil prices as impacted by obviously OPEC decision, but the typically oil's moving off of China. So that's something that I would be focused on as well. So as far as the other factors, but right now, again, 160 for 39, and then to the upside. If you are moving or looking to the upside on CVX, I would actually say 74.35 is a place where you could start looking. You can see the majority of the candles close or push off of 175 and 174.75. So I'd keep my eyes peeled there. All right, let's go ahead. We've got CVX. NVIDIA price target $55. Liking that, Tom. Netflix. Ooh. That just made the watch list. That, get on here. Get on my watch list. Motherfucking damn. Damn. Look at that thing. I might ask that. I might ask that set up on a date. Okay. Um. So, fuck. This is nuts. So you retested, um, basically 329.55 and wicked down. This is super bearish in my opinion. Look at that. Oh my. Now I'm bearish on it. Great, right? That's great. Who cares? The main thing here, right, is that we see confirmation. And so that's what you would be wanting to pay attention to. So confirmation, confirmation for at least a trade aiming for support, right? And that would probably be a pullback all the way to, I'm going to say 275 and then 250, right? So definitely going to need to be a longer expiration. But this is resistance, right? We have too much confirmation to not call it what it is. I see NVIDIA. I personally see NVIDIA, if we get confirmation below, we're going to call it call $300 as a potential entry for me. But 291.70 is where I really think that you will see further downside. So make sure, when you're doing these things, it is important to set alerts, right? And that's going to keep you up to date. We can't watch 1,000 stocks at a time. Or at least I know I can't. So I'm going to set a couple of alerts here. 303.40 alert there. Now I see this as, so here's the thing. I always give you guys both sides of the coin. This is short, right? That's my thesis. I'm going to trade it that way. So this could be a double top, but I'm going to trade it that way. So if we rip up, I need to have a plan for that. But 333, right? And remember, FOMC after FOMC and the open that we get the day after is really, really, really going to be important. But you can always pull back. And if you pull back anywhere, if after moving higher than this in closing, anywhere below 321.50, Netflix would receive the short thesis again. So. But that is a fucking killer setup, and I'm gonna tweet that out so other people can stare at it. Maybe, maybe not that one. That. Now that's obviously all dependent on FOMC, but if we get confirmation, damn. All right. Damn. All right. So SOXS. If you were in the video but your stop loss kick you out, so as a general rule of thumb, One of my mentors actually said this, especially for scalpers or anything like that. If your entry level was where you were planning on getting in and that failed and that was your thesis, then that's not a terrible place to get out, right? Just to avoid any further emotional damage or turmoil. Period. Um, but oftentimes my stop loss, if it's broken back above or below, I'm typically gonna leg back in because now my thesis is back in play. So why not? Alrighty. So I think I charted this like day after I got Trend Spider, so it's been a minute. SOXS is currently sitting on top of its support, struggling. Closed today on top or just barely below. I'm not going to even call it below. You closed on top of 31.20, 25. Um, so that being said, you have a lot of consolidation here. I do see this little trend right here, and I would definitely keep my eye on that because that, and I'm going to call 2754. 2754, that's where you could potentially see a bounce. Now, as far as a bounce and rebound, it could just be a bounce and retest. But if you break back above 31.35 and especially 33.75, the market's probably in trouble. All right, SOXS is done. I'll tweet that out for you as well. So make sure to, if you're not following the Twitter here on YouTube, you guys can do that. Links in the bio. All right, let's look at BA. I hate BA. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Probably because that BA was actually one of the scalp stocks that just was good for scalping and just turned into a nightmare. It may have picked up, but just wasn't my friend. I actually swore Boeing off a long time ago. I was like, I'll never trade it again, and I've pretty much stuck to that. My P&L with that was not good. So I'm gonna go for my swing high. So it looks like you got a broken downtrend as far as the swing high is concerned. But what I don't like is I don't like that. So what I'm gonna do here is I need to find trend, and that trend sucks. That's not gonna work either. This is live, so you guys know these aren't pre-scripted questions. Okay, I like that. So from what I can see, um, on Boeing, and typically airline stocks are not my favorite due to price action. That's like that. That's typically not very good to trade, but it does seem you have some straightforward liquidity on BA right now, but buying is momentum is dissipating, and you see that by a bunch of low volume days to the upside. So I think maybe even just a bit of a profit taking pullback could be happening. You are up against that resistance of 187. So 187 is going to be one of those marks. Below you, it is 179.15. I would be looking for a pullback into the 172.30 area. Pretty simple. Now, if the floor here is 168.95, 168.50 is really the trigger I would say for BA. Let's do the one last thing here. unusual. It's a valid trend line, though. So this could be a broadening wedge, or that's it. Okay, so right now it looks like lower time frame channel has you possibly clocking up that 188.41 again, or making just a slightly newer high at 180. I'm gonna call it 189. Um, but if you have a confluence between that 4 hour and that daily, or excuse me, that 4 hour and the hourly, then that's kind of where you want to place that trigger. So, uh, but yeah, BA is not my favorite stock to trade, but I would say candle open 188.85, and you would likely be looking at dealing with this area right here. That would be your new area of operation, and that's above 190.25. All right. So moving forward, we've got BA. I'm not going to be honest with you. I'm not really like super pleased with that chart. There's not like much else, but it's also not like the most beautiful trend that you've ever seen in your life. So I'm just giving it to you how I see it. So let's go PayPal or SQ. PayPal, I guess. We'll go with the first one. This one's already charted. Thank you, past me. We might have to do some adjustments here. Might have slipped up. And I think yes. I think yes. Okay. Good chart. You are moving to the downside. You are currently sitting on, or have been sitting around, this. Trying to give you a good line, a good mark here. 68.85 or six. Actually, excuse me, 68.50. 68.50. 1, 2, 3 major bounces on PayPal. So based on what I'm seeing here, you could be looking at a major rejection, and PayPal, I've said this, it could go back into the 30s. But of course, it could just be around 60. I'm going to say 63 to 62 bucks. Go to the weekly here just to double check things. Absolutely nightmare. Absolutely a nightmare. I would not want to be investing in this stock right now. And this is one of the ones they preached. Yeah, so I would double down on that channel there. So below that 68 bucks, right? That previous low. I told you I would be looking at that $65 target on PayPal. So tons of selling above you, right? So any move opposite. And I'm not sure when PayPal earnings are. Let's see. It just had earnings on. Okay, so they already had earnings. So I would actually, if that's correct, then I would actually be looking for a move. So watch for a 68, 65 bounce, and rebound possibly into the $85 area. But that's about it. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are on Twitter. I typically don't chart the VIX. I just watch it. And here I have a chart on the VIX. Well, I was right. That's a wedge, and that wedge broke out. That is a 50% retracement of the wedge running into the confluence at the 200-day moving average, and now you have a potential channel. So if we're looking for an increase in volatility here, Looks like there's a mid mark here at 27 to 27.65. That's where I'd be watching the VIX. And I really don't have anything else to offer on that one. Pretty straightforward. I like turtles. Nice. Let's read that comment. Do you take R squared and continue trading this? Sammy Lynn, no. I'm not like focused on it. A UNH. I mean, I don't use it or pay attention to it at all. So, UNH weekly. Yo, this is either due for a massive. You know who I'd want to give this to. He's probably not in here, but I might tweet him. But UNH looks kind of lit. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, so you bounced off the trend. Obviously, resistance is here. Ascending triangles have they relatively low probability, but in my opinion, they do. So 554 or 555 is where sellers currently reside. Even on a breakout, you have got 570 here and 575. That could be your next upside target. But as far as holding it, I would like to see a decent candle on the weekly show some strength in order to confirm further upside. So I'm gonna actually tweet this at the trade initiative. All right, UNH is posted. I actually have a short on Baba, which who knows how the hell that's going to turn out. Probably not great. It's not even really worth mentioning. It's not a ton of money. Pretty sure it's down right now. But let's go to the daily here. So today, this one again, thank you, passed me because charting this thing seems pretty straightforward. That resistance didn't hold in place. But look, 1, 2, 3, 4. Currently, we are sitting on top, and that floor is $88. So opening up underneath $88 is going to be the goal if you want to continue to see further downside, where I would be not focused on, but I would not be looking at that trend line support. So thanks for the knowledge. Just one thing: why do you look at the news or earnings affecting charts? Sangram. So I do. The mic is on your keyboard. What does that mean? Can you hear my fingers? I alerted my trading group. What does that mean? But I do. So when I'm giving other people analysis, that is something that I would rely on, or hope that they're doing. But when I'm doing my analysis on my stocks, I know what we have typically or what news but I don't know what's going on with UNH or anything like that. So, that would be a total extra level as far as analysis. So, But anyway, Baba is holding that floor. This chart, yo, I'm gonna tweet this out. You guys are gonna fucking love this shit. It looks amazing. Sorry if I look drowsy. I am tired. Yo, the trading initiative just tweeted me back, and he said, "Shamelessly admit we've been long on UNH for 2.5 weeks. At the last all-time high attempt, but yes, we want to be long." That's so funny, dude. That's crazy. I knew that he traded that. That's funny. I love that. Anyway, oh, okay, got you. I got banned off TikTok. Uh, on the live because I was talking shit. It was Coach CWC's people. He got them all. They were mad because I said I didn't like him. I don't have to like everybody. That's not my job here. I don't even have to like. You know, I can respect people, not like them too. But I have to get along with everybody in this space. So here, I think we're getting close to Baba Act. So ATVI, right? Activision. Yeah, Microsoft wants to buy them. Listen, whatever price they're at, they're gonna stay probably chopping or gonna get bought out at. So anything is like Twitter. It's straight up. It's like Twitter. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's the equivalent of what I see happening here. It does. Let's see if it's been holding true to trend. So the good old weekly here showing us that we are at resistance. And anytime I find resistance, I like to bring in some math. This is the part I like the most. All right, so from what I can tell, first of all, before we go any further, this is where you must mark out those key levels, right? We want to find out where those guard lines are, or cell walls. So right now, when looking at the past, it looks like a 75.50 and true 78.27. So 78.27 right there. One, two, look at all that build underneath. Three, four, build underneath. So that's kind of where I think that would be a major deciding factor as far as ATVI moving to the upside. Otherwise, you could just continue to stay in range. I haven't kept up to date with that deal. There's an outside up chart pattern on pins daily at the bottom of a brief downtrend, but in the larger time frame, it's been sideways for months. Would you consider this a bullish reversal? Nope. Maybe accumulation. Um, what a weird divergence. No, I would. I would. I would. I see you. That's what I see on good old Pinterest. Uh, let's see. Let's also find our ceiling. There it is. And then our floor. There it is. And there's our 50% mark. There it is. That's 2175. And our low underneath that, 1745. bottom below that is here at basically $12. So you're at 23.18. I'd be looking at Pinterest. That actually looks like I bet you that's a cheap small account speculative play with a stupid long expiration. Cheap pin short weekly bear flag. At least Feb. No, fuck that. March. March contracts. At least. And you're probably gonna have to stay close to the money. The contracts out of the money are probably roasted. I'll look at that tomorrow. But I see a bear flag. What would my game plan be if you were going to do a strangle on Amazon? You want to know something hilarious? We are in a strangle for Amazon going into FOMC. Currently, I have a Amazon $80 put for $12.23, and I have a Amazon 101 call for $12.23. I also kind of messed up by buying a $12.16 $97 call, but this is also part of the $100 challenge. And one of the goals with the $100 challenge is just to get the hell out of the $100 range. So. Yeah, repeated those patterns. Thinking about a short volume pins, a short term butterfly on pins. That might work. I mean, it is holding its range tight. The 2184 candle open. Really, actually, I'm going to take that back. That's 2110. It's going to be 2110. So, anyway, hopefully that helps. Now you guys know what my face looks like when I'm zoning out on a chart. Stupid. Um, I made about $1,200 on the first scalp, and then I made about $880 on the second one, and then I lost about $200 on the previous ones. So, or on the uh, failed entries where I had to cut at my stop loss. So I still had a green day. A little disappointing, a little frustrating that we didn't get follow. I would have followed through on Tesla had it not diverged. I didn't really see a divergence like that coming forward. So. Gary, you look so professional, by the way, with your little icon there. Can't really see your face, but I know you're wearing a suit. All right. Do you guys see that right there? We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 5-6 candles closing. Big candle close there. Big bounce today. You can see that there's a wick right here. That may provide you with a rejection level. That is going to be 85. You tapped it. It's 85.40. And then there's also this candle close, and that is 86.21. But that wick really is where I want to bypass. So typically, as a rule of thumb for me, if you have an engulfment candle or you're trying to reverse, I'd like to build on top of the 50% mark of that candle. So so based on the rounded top that we see on the lower time frame, I suspect that we could see a continuation that move down to 75. But of course, you know, I would like to see a continuation below 82 and $80 in order to confirm. But it may be that we have one of these bad boys. So watch for, you know, it could be mid-December. You know, we could dump. We could see oil dump and fade all the way into the mid, you know, December. What is it? The weekly? Yeah, mid-December, maybe the beginning of January. You know, we could see a big bounce on energy based on this trend. But it's not over until, you know, confirmation happens. So you're at the 50% mark here. I would be looking for a move down below that. So all right. Excuse me. Metatronic. We're gonna go with that one. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys good analysis here. So the 8055 floor for MDT, that's going to be important to reclaim. That's also right around that deviation line. So I would say 81 bucks, 81.32. Let's see a hold above that if you're looking for any sort of reversal. Does look like there was or is one of these bad boys. Was, right? Because technically it's kind of broken out. But of course, any wedge runs the risk of turning into a channel. So continuation to the downside, if it happens, could be off of a retest of 80.62 or here, especially if tomorrow you get a very, very small gap up underneath 80.15 and then pull back and engulf. That would be where I would start looking at MDT to really dump or continue moving down. So, but decent chart right here. I'll maybe tweet that out. Oh shit! What have I done? Oh, okay. All right. I think I've gotten almost everybody's request. What the hell am I saying? Yeah. So if you guys are on YouTube, I've pretty much taken everybody's request here. So. Let's see here. I can't remember the last time I looked at Estee Lauder. I don't know why I smell perfume. Just think of that name. So this was your floor. That is your ceiling. And we'll confirm that here. 236.75. 260 40 or 260 even. I like 260.45 on that chart. And then ceiling is 277.48. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and slow it down, though, after this one. Yeah, if I miss your DM ever on Discord, don't think I'm ignoring you. Just know that I have a lot of them typically. So sorry. Okay, so this is how I'm going to place this one. EL is opened on the weekly above that mark. You did have a doji beforehand, and today you did close above that doji right around 245. But that would be another important retest mark. But if you are going to continue to the downside off of this downtrend break, my only target looking at the weekly would be 260. Daily time frame, of course, is a good time to confirm. Let's see. Yeah, so you're barely just squeaked out of that setup. So lower time frame here, and here. So I would say right now that if you move back into this red square on this daily time frame, which is that's 230. Candles close at 229. I would be looking for at least a 50% retracement back down to 220. Simple. All right, Gary, I've taken a handful of yours, so I'm just going to make sure that I get everybody's IWM. Somehow this is already charted. Right now you have already bounced off of 170, so my charts are lit. There's resistance. Yep, you got a fat rejection off of 182. You've got a nice bounce off of this 177.60-ish mark. That has been a bounce level and build level in previous sessions. So if you are going to see a reversal, that's where I would like to see a reversal occur. I know everybody's going to be screaming a head and shoulders if we break, but 177.45. My price target's going to be 170 from there. Shorter term target for even just day trading or looking for trend 174.61 right there. Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Just want to make sure I cover everybody's. Uh, Another chart that I've already charted. Sweet. Now, would you look at that? So candle closes are always important. Daily candle close. It appears that you have closed back on top of 28 bucks. Right there. So you got just barely underneath. Got a big old wick. I'm a little bit off on my trend line here. Yeah, so you might see another little candle down there, or you could just build and accumulate, and that's kind of what I'd be looking for. But sticking to the levels, because this is a 50%, right, of the zone itself. So anywhere below opening below 27, that would likely put you down at 26 bucks. And if this pattern is a setup for a potential reversal with a double top or something like that, then you got a lot of below you, but I would be aiming for 26, 25. All right. CXDO, Crescendo. This is another one of those boo boo water stocks, but it does have a decent trend. It's at $2. Looks like 151 is a floor for you currently. You're sitting on one as well. That's $2. This has low volume and a ton of chop, so not my friend. And then, yeah, as you can see, incredibly low liquidity here, low volume stock. So having it follow trend just because we see it doesn't matter at all. But that's really all I have to offer. I never really, I don't want to push it when it comes to these type of things. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I don't know if you can see my eyes. I'm sleepy. 5:30 wake ups time. Sometimes be coming around with the haymakers right around this time. So, but of course, I appreciate you guys. I think I got everybody's request for the most part. So if you guys were able to rewind, go use my chart, compare it, contrast, maybe ask me some questions tomorrow morning when we're on bright and early in the Discord. Right, there's 33 of you, or hopefully there's more people watching later on. So if you're watching on later, we're gonna try and be live 7:30 Eastern time. So bye now. All right, guys. Peace.